Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely incredible, the 121-second miracle and Canada's incredibly dramatic World Cup opener. So let's set the stage, right? It's June 12th, the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Canada, the host nation, is stepping out onto the pitch for their very first match against a really tough Bosnia and Herzegovina squad. Now, for Canada, a team that had literally never secured a single point in World Cup history, looking back at their previous appearances in 1986 and 2022, the stakes, they just couldn't be higher. The whole atmosphere was this massive powder keg of hope, serious anxiety, and overwhelming national pride.
But before a single ball was even kicked, we have to ask this massive, looming question. Could Canada actually survive the crushing pressure of a home World Cup without their undisputed leader? This wasn't just another match. This was the defining moment for an entire generation of Canadian soccer. And right out of the gate, they were facing, frankly, an unprecedented level of adversity. They had to perform on the world's absolute biggest stage, in their own backyard, dealing with a completely devastating blow to their starting lineup.
Just picture the scene at Toronto Stadium for a second. You've got over 43,000 fans completely blanketing the stands in this massive sea of red. The noise? Absolutely deafening. Because everyone there knows that Canada's first ever Men's World Cup point is literally up for grabs today. And the gravity of this event? It even drew in Hollywood royalty. Comedy icon Mike Myers was there, and Reynolds, who's definitely no stranger to soccer drama himself, was watching super intently from the stands. The entire country was holding its collective breath, just demanding a historic result.
Section 1. The elephant on the pitch. Missing the captain.
So there was this massive shadow hanging over all the excitement. Alphonso Davies. He suffered a hamstring tear back in May while playing for Bayern Munich, and despite a really promising MRI, he was officially ruled out. The captain was forced to just watch his team's biggest match from the sidelines. And why does this matter so much? Well, without his electrifying pace, the entire attacking burden shifted squarely onto striker Jonathan David. They were basically trading those explosive transition threats for a much slower, more deliberate build-up.
But check out these numbers from SofaScore, because they kind of defy all logic. Canada actually averages 1.46 points per game with Davies starting, but an impressive 1.89 points per game without him. They boasted a 10-6-3 record in 19 matches without their star. So the real takeaway here? While losing a world-class player is terrifying, absolutely terrifying, Canada actually had a proven track record of tightening up defensively and just grinding out results without him. It was kind of this hidden beacon of resilient hope for the 43,000 fans in attendance.
Moving on to Section 2. The nightmare unfolds. A familiar feeling.
Okay, so the game starts and disaster escalates quickly. In the 17th minute, Jonathan David scuffs a golden 12-yard sitter. Just brutal. 4 minutes later, Bosnia's Cyle flicks on a corner kick, and Jovo Lukic buries a point-blank header for his first international goal, giving Bosnia a 1-0 lead. Then, fast forward to the second half. 53rd minute. Canada's Richie Larin beats the keeper, and it looks absolutely certain to be a goal, but Kolasinac somehow scrambles back and hooks the ball onto his own crossbar from the goal line. Incredible. Canada was throwing literally everything they had at this Bosnian Wall, generating nearly 70% possession, but they just could not break through.
And his quote brilliantly illustrates the mood in the stadium, captured by Fox Sports. For an hour, around 43,000 fans at Toronto Stadium stared down a familiar nightmare. You really have to understand the psychological weight going on here. Canada was staring right down the barrel of a potential 7th straight World Cup defeat. The team looked like they were trying to force open a locked door with a battering ram, and you could feel the frustration visibly spreading all around BMO Field.
Which takes us to Section 3, the 121-second miracle, the turning point.
Right as the game seemed to be totally drifting toward a devastating Canadian defeat, manager Jesse Marsch decided, you know what, it's time to roll the dice. During this crucial second-half hydration break, Marsch gathers his players. He could sense that the Bosnian squad, who had spent basically the entire match defending deep and just absorbing pressure, was finally starting to tire out. He told his team, we've got them now. It's time to put your foot on the jugular and go for the goal. It was this fiery, really calculated demand for intensity. He knew the momentum was shifting, but they desperately needed fresh legs to actually execute it.
So here is exactly how that masterstroke played out. In the 76th minute, Marsch subbed on veteran striker Cyle Larin. Now keep in mind, Larin had lost his starting spot and hadn't scored for his country in nearly 2 years. But shortly after he gets on,
Fellow substitute Promise David receives the ball and flicks this really clever pass right into Larin's path just outside the box. With his back to the goal, Larin executes a perfect swivel, creates the space, and just rips a low, deflected strike right into the bottom corner. The net bulges and the stadium just absolutely erupts.
121. That is the staggering exact number of seconds it took for Larin to find the back of the net after stepping off the bench. Less than 3 minutes. It was this instantaneous, completely clinical game-changer that turned what honestly felt like a national wake into absolute euphoria.
The big takeaway here, Larin didn't just score a goal. He cemented a legendary redemption arc. I mean, this moment is going to be a pub quiz answer forever. Larin becomes only the second Canadian man to ever score at a World Cup, the first being the injured Alphonso Davies, who was watching right there from the bench. But more importantly, this single strike broke a massive curse. It secured Canada's first ever men's World Cup point after 6 straight defeats spanning all the way from 1986 to 2022. Just incredible.
Section 4. The Math of Survival. Group B Standings.
Okay, so the celebrations in Toronto, completely justified. But as the emotions start to cool down, reality kind of sets back in. If we look at the live Group B standings, they leave Canada and Bosnia tied for first place with 1 point each. Switzerland and Qatar, the other 2 teams in the group, hadn't even played their opening match yet. Now, on paper, Switzerland is definitely the heavy group favorite, while Qatar is viewed as the underdog. Because of that dynamic, this Canada-Bosnia game was widely considered a de facto final for second place. A draw keeps both teams very much alive, sure, but it honestly solves nothing permanently. And that brings us to the fascinating math of the brand new 48-team World Cup format. It's a bit more forgiving, yeah, but it is incredibly tight. The top 2 teams from all 12 groups automatically advance to the new round of 32. But here is the kicker. The 8 best third-place teams also advance. This means finishing third isn't an automatic death sentence anymore. Historically, 4 points is usually the safety threshold to grab one of those best third-place spots. But because there are so many teams involved now, goal difference is going to be absolutely vital. Every single goal scored or conceded could literally be the difference between advancing or packing your bags and going home. Canada has 1 point right now, so they're likely going to need at least 1 solid win to feel completely safe. Which leaves us with this final, lingering thought. With the curse officially broken and that massive monkey finally off their backs, can Canada turn this one historic point into a ticket to the knockouts? Their next match is against Qatar in Vancouver, and you better believe the entire nation will be watching. They'll be waiting to see if Alphonso Davies returns and if they can pile up those goals they so desperately need. It is an incredible story of resilience, and it's far from over. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep a close eye on those group standings because the math of survival, it is just getting started. See you next time.